that. So I thought I would discuss, as I mentioned in my previous videos, as it's Dyslexia Awareness and Black History Month, I thought I'd talk about things to do with Black and stroke or dyslexic people, in this case dyslexic people in business. So yeah, I thought I'd talk about some of the links between dyslexia and entrepreneurship that many organizations such as Made by Dyslexia, Dyslexia Advantage and others, the Center for Dyslexia and Creativity included, have found out about dyslexia through their research. Apparently here in the UK, about 20 self-made millionaires, are dyslexic. And in the US, there's lots of reasons why people give towards why dyslexics gravitate towards business. Nature to the thought of failing and making mistakes is sort of second. It doesn't put you, can make you more determined to take things on, to take on risks, which is, I suppose, what business is about. Many times people start business and it'll take 2 or 3 attempts. So I think some of the negative things about dyslexia are things like we forget things, including people's names, obviously reading, writing and things like that. Anything to do with those sorts of things we struggle with, and that's why many managers are not, there's not many, percentage-wise, there's not many managers with dyslexia, managers of businesses who have dyslexia, in terms of in terms of people who have their own companies, it's quite high, but in terms of managers, I think it's only 4%, which is fairly low. It's about half the amount, percentage of dyslexic people there are in the actual economy, I think, depending on what statistics you look at. But yeah, so a lot of people give reasons why, like for instance, we can be creative, we can think outside the box, and sometimes when we struggle in the corporate world, we try and create our own sort of industries, and thinking differently has its advantages. Of course, if you try and go into business, you've got to do something different to what the rest of the market's doing, I suppose, to achieve. But I'd love to hear from dyslexic entrepreneurs or read comments from dyslexic entrepreneurs, and there are many great videos about where there's been conferences or things like that, where dyslexic people talked about why many dyslexic people gravitate towards or do well in business. Again, I think there are certain areas which where we struggle in, like remembering things such as people's names, planning, organizing, even time management, things like that, which would make you think that it is hard for us to run businesses, even things like confidence and things like that. And I wonder how many dyslexic people could be in business, or it could be even a lot more than it is now, in spite of the statistics being quite favourable for what's often seen as a disadvantage or even a disability, or both, or whatever. And yeah, so I think it'd be interesting to see if there could be even more dyslexic people encouraged to go into business in spite of risks. And maybe if sometimes we just clear our dyslexia, there might be some people who are nice enough to understand that we don't forget people's names or forget things or make mistakes on purpose. We'd rather not do that, but sometimes due to our difficulties, we struggle with those areas. So I think if more people understand that, some might not be very nice all the same, or some might not be very forgiving or say, I don't want to hear excuses, but I don't have to my lights there. But on the other hand, there might be many people who understand that you're trying your best, and they might even appreciate that you think. From one thing, they might appreciate that you think differently because you're dyslexic and you have other strengths to offer, and the other thing, they might understand that you're not making those mistakes on purpose, and some might even think that you're really trying to achieve a lot, in spite of the fact you could use your dyslexia as an excuse not to achieve. I hope that makes sense. So unfortunately, another area where a lot of dyslexic people are involved in, and I think we're overrepresented at both ends of society. Like, it's oftentimes, I'm not sure how many times dyslexic people fit in sort of the middle of society. We're either normally at the bottom of society, underemployed or unemployed even, or struggling to keep jobs, again, underemployed, or not having very good jobs, or even not, as I say, not having jobs, or even ending up in prison, or becoming frustrated and unfortunately turning to crime and things like that, which many criminals can make money, but it's not the way. I think it's always better to do things legally, but that's my personal opinion. I'm sure many people share that opinion. Probably most people share that opinion. But so it would be great for dyslexic people to find out as well about business people like Richard Branson, Charles Schwab, who's a billionaire as well, Craig McCaw, who worked in the cellular industry, or as Brits would call it, the mobile phone industry, or whatever we'd call it. Um, and he's a billionaire as well. And there's many dyslexic people who are billionaires, or at least millionaires. And so if other people with dyslexia see that, hopefully they'll be less likely to turn to crime, or to have low self-esteem, or to find other ways to make money. Hopefully they'll find more legal ways. I'd love all dyslexic people to obey the law as much as possible, and also become philanthropists and help people in developing countries as well. And I'd also love to help dyslexics in those developing countries to become business people, as I mentioned in previous videos as well. So they're some of my personal goals, but I thought I'd talk about, I know I haven't really planned it quite as well as I like, or been quite as organised as I like, but hopefully people will find the statistics quite interesting. And again, there are many dyslexic millionaires or even billionaires, and some might not be quite well off or wealthy, but they might be running businesses that they enjoy, or that make at least a bit of money. And many people say it is a good pathway for dyslexic people. Sports is one area, business is another where dyslexic people, and there are probably many others where dyslexic people actually thrive, and our strengths, our unique thinking is actually not a disadvantage in many ways. It can often be an advantage. And one of the things I actually forgot to mention, which I was thinking about earlier, is that my chain of thought. Sorry, oh heck, I forgot my chain of thought. Sorry, another embarrassing moment. Another thing I was thinking is that what some people say is that many. The reason why there's not so many dyslexic people who are in as managers of companies, existing companies, if you like, or other people's companies, but rather run the companies themselves, is because of it, for reasons like proving critics, like peers and even teachers and even their own parents in some cases, or the wider society who put them down. They try and prove them wrong, and they work extra hard. They develop a strong work ethic, and also a nothing to lose sort of attitude, which actually is much more helpful than people think, I think, in business. And they take risks that people who are academic might not take in a lot of cases. And also in management, there's a lot of paperwork apparently, so a lot of dyslexic people will try and delegate those sorts of things. So even if they can't read or write very well, they'll get someone else who can do that and employ them. But they'll also somehow employ people with those strengths, but use their learn their own strengths and weaknesses, so that they can work on their strengths more, and delegate some of their things they're weaker at. And so they delegate people who can write. Again, I'd love to read from people who run their own business and how they think. Obviously, people with dyslexia who run their own business, and how they think their dyslexia helps them, or people who have networked with dyslexic people, perhaps, or what other theories people might have as to why many dyslexic people are good at business, and what areas many dyslexic people might struggle at, which would make them even better at business, or make even more dyslexic people do well at business. Like, it could be self-esteem, or again, society understanding how much effort dyslexic people have to put in just to get by. And I think if more people understand that, there might be a lot more people who are helpful and sympathetic to the efforts put in. So again, hope that made sense, and sorry if I was waffling. But yeah, I thought I'd talk about the link between dyslexia and entrepreneurship. And again, if you type that into YouTube or Google, you'll probably find many things about dyslexia and enterprise, or entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial-ism, business, whatever you want to call it. And other people like Damon John, an African American chap who's on Shark Tank, which is the American equivalent of the Dragon's Den. Barbara Corcoran, a female representative as well, one for the women, women with dyslexia. And there's Kevin O'Leary, who's aka Mr. Wonderful, who's also on Shark Tank. So 3 of the members or former members, I think they're still current members of the Shark Tank, are dyslexic. And similar in the UK, Peter Jones, Duncan Bannatyne, Theo Profitis, and even Kelly Hoppen, I think her name is, are all dyslexic. And there are many other entrepreneurs, but those are prime examples which people can actually look up to and think that's someone to aspire to be. And hopefully that will help a lot of dyslexic people. So I hope this video has helped people understand dyslexia even more. And or if you just stumble across this and you haven't seen my previous videos, I hope it will give you some understanding of dyslexia, at least a little bit, and people can share information as well in the comment section, which I always encourage people to do and invite people to do. And yeah, hopefully it will inspire dyslexic people mainly and their families. And I'm out. Peace and love.